The end is coming. Get ready, sell all you have, or stock up things in your basement. The end is coming. That's what we hear from so many people who read these scriptures about the end times. Even in our great Thanksgiving prayer, in one of them we say, in these latter days, in these last days. I would rather talk about our first days. Does anybody remember the letter of Paul to the Corinthians? Please raise your hand. How many have been to a wedding and heard love is patient, love is kind, love is yes. Okay, we've all heard that. Isn't Paul wonderful? So poetic, so loving. I love Paul. Talk to me sometime about how, in fact, he is one of the most female liberation theologians of all time. But here's how he ends his letter to the Corinthians in chapter 16. He's closing the letter and he says, if anyone does not love the Lord, a curse be upon them. Maranatha, Lord come. Now, Maranatha, Lord come, could be taken, interpreted two ways. They talk about the Greek. Actually, those could be two different words, depending on where you separate it in the middle. One would say the Lord has already come, but the other is in a vocative case. Where's Audrey? Only Audrey would know what that means. I had to look it up again, even though I had Latin. And it's sort of like, it's not an imperative. It's not commanding Jesus to come. But it's saying, Lord, come. Lord, come. And that's how most of the time it is translated. And people of today, at least over the last 40 years, have interpreted that to talk about the last days. Now, if you read Amos warns us not to wait for the day of the Lord, not to seek the day of the Lord. But once again, I want to talk about now. I'm reading a book, and in that book is this quote from Toni Morrison from the book Beloved. This woman shows up, I'm assuming, at the doorstep and asks the woman, whose baby is that? And the woman did not answer. And the woman responded, you don't even know? Come here, Jesus. Amy sighed, shook her head, and asked if the person was hurt. The person said a touch, and then showed the wounds on her back. Gal, you a mess. Turn over here and let me see. Come here, Jesus. When she saw, she said, come here, Jesus. Come here, Jesus. I wonder how each of us knows Jesus. How do you know Jesus? How do you know Jesus? How do I know Jesus? I hear people say oftentimes they discover God in nature. I'm not sure they discover Jesus in nature, but the beauty of nature is where they find God. And I would say if that's where you find God, spend more time in nature. Do you know Jesus through Scripture primarily? Well, spend more time in Scripture. Do you know Him primarily through prayer? Spend more time praying. And if you know Jesus through the saints, spend more time with the saints. If you know Jesus, as in the Song of Hannah speaks about in the Magnificat, primarily through the poor, then spend more time with the poor. On the other hand, if you know Jesus primarily through philosophy, spend more time doing something practical. If you know Jesus primarily through what you were taught, don't listen to this, kids. Spend less time with your teachers. If you know Jesus primarily through your intuition, again, do something practical. If you know Jesus primarily through your weakness, then learn about him through your strength. And if you know him primarily through your strength, learn about him through your weakness. As Paul says, when I'm weak, I'm strong. And if you know him as the conquering divine Son of God, get to know him as the crucified one. This morning, today, in your hearts, in your minds, in your souls, I invite you to meditate upon the words, "Come here, Jesus. Come here, Jesus. Not in the last days, but here. And here, and here, and here. Come here, Jesus." Come live, laugh, and love with us here. Play with us. Come here, Jesus. Come live and heal here. Come here, Jesus. Come and touch us. Come here, Jesus, and hold on to us, and heal us, and create here. This may be a very short sermon, but I think it's one of the most important. If we don't know Jesus, if you don't know Jesus, pray, "Come here, Jesus." When we hand you the bread today, whether you're at the shrine altar or at the altar, rather than saying the body of Christ, we will be saying, "Come here, Jesus." That's a prayer that each of us might pray that. And some of you respond oftentimes with amen. I invite you to respond with, "Come here, Jesus." Can we say that just for a second? Come here, Jesus. This is what we want here. This is who we want here. This is why we are here. Because in Jesus coming to us, our lives are transformed so that we can be those saints for others. Come here, Jesus. Now. Amen.